This is Mentally Dope. Join us, Charmaine and Jasmine, two Black licensed therapists, as we build a bridge between mental health and Black culture. Come on, it's gonna be dope. Hi guys, welcome back.
Hi, I'm Charmaine.
I'm Jasmine.
We are staying mentally dope over here.
We are. Welcome. Hello. If you are picking up what we're putting down, could you please put a quick like on this video? Could you comment, let us know you watched it? Can you subscribe, let the people know? This helps other people find us.
Yeah.
Right? If other people find us, then we can keep doing this work
Yeah.
and having lots of fun doing it. So definitely do that for us. If you click today, you know what we're talking about.
Yes. So like for real, guys, we love to be able to have you guys engage with us. So as we're talking about the stuff, I need you guys to leave your comments, tell us what you enjoyed, what you did not enjoy. Of course, when we get to certain segments with questions, we need to know, did you watch this and have the same questions too, or the same
or something
level of
that we
confusion?
didn't think of.
Yeah, that
Please.
part too, because we watch it for our questions, but you may have something that we did
You might
not
have saw
ask.
something that we missed and you had a question about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's how you doing?
I'm good. We record usually on Fridays, and so I'm always jazzed to be
ready for the
at a
weekend.
Friday. Mm-hmm.
Yes, 100%.
A holiday weekend at that.
Yes, that as well. Okay.
What about you?
Same. I'm just ready for the weekend. I don't even have any plans. I just want to.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it'll fill up really quick, but just the idea of being able to have my Saturday. I love Saturday mornings. So it's a time when the whole house is quiet, and I can just get up first thing in the morning and I watch all of my pre-recorded shows that I recorded for the week.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I make blueberry pancakes.
That's so sweet.
Or waffles, really, I prefer, but pancakes, whatever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into it. Y'all, this is...
I love this movie.
It is... So it holds up. It's still good. It's wholesome, mostly.
Yes.
It is just...
Literally, when I watched it, I was just it's so funny.
Still laughing out loud.
How funny it is. And it's also, crazy. The cast of this movie was, top tier. Mm-hmm. Everybody was in this movie. It was so great.
Yeah.
There's definitely some questions that need answers, but we'll get there. But the general topic of the movie, the plot and everything. Also, Jasmine, you were telling me that this movie was based on a play.
It was a play.
I did not know that.
I had no idea. Totally
So,
over my head.
figuring that out.
I think probably that's why it's so structurally really good, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm curious as to how it was as a play. And look that up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the movie was good. Mm-hmm. So if you guys have not watched Kingdom Come, it is a movie that we're in this country town and we're dealing with a mother and a father who have a not so healthy marriage dynamic. And then the father dies. And then we see the two sons plus his sister.
Sons are grown.
And his nephew.
Yeah.
Yes. His adult sons and their families. And then how we are dealing with the death of the father. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. The patriarch, we'll say.
Yeah.
The very flawed patriarch.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. This is where we're starting.
Okay.
So it is very men heavy, right? The dad dies, his two sons, one comes back into town, the other is already there, and they have complicated relationships with him. And so we see a lot from the men's perspective of the emotions that men go through around just... men and their feelings.
Expressing
Okay?
expressing their feelings.
Men and their feelings, which no fault of their own, right? We're not men bashing here. Our stance is usually the world kind of creates men to not be able to do feelings very well, and that's not the fault of men. Mm-hmm. But also there's some work to do. That doesn't mean you can just go around being a jerk. There's work to do.
Yeah. So we see that in that aspect. We can start there. We see that in the aspect of Aunt Raynell, who is Whoopi Goldberg, and then her husband Raybud, and then their two sons, who's Anthony Anderson, and
LL
and LL
Cool J.
Yes,
still look good.
So then, we see that the two sons don't quite get along.
They don't have a very good relationship at all, and they both feel differently towards their dad.
Yeah,
we'll say, right? Raybud. or just Ray.
Raybud.
Ray, LL Cool J, his character, he is super angry. Like he's got a lot of unresolved stuff inside of him.
So he internalizes a lot of his things, and then he masks it by just drinking. So we don't talk about anything. We just kind of sort of mask everything.
Yes, but it sounded like he used to have an alcohol problem. He had kind of beat it, right? He had settled down on it. Then something difficult happens, like his dad dying away suddenly, passing away suddenly. And then he goes back to that old habit.
But there was the scene when him and Junior were drinking together, and he said, "I thought you stopped," and he said, "Well, you ain't the only one who lies."
Oh, okay. So he really didn't stop. So he at least told,
or he
Charlene,
at least Lucille,
Charlene, Charlene.
He at least slowed down from what he was doing. Like it wasn't like obsessive, excessive of like
and he
being drunk at work and
as well. Like there's something about that that's like. People do, this is my belief, people do well if they can. And so something was happening for him that he could slow down.
Yeah.
But then when his father passed away, it pushed something over the edge and he couldn't.
Yeah.
Like it was really hard to deal with those emotions.
But so that's the thing to talk about though, that in this moment we see this family that was already rocky because like we have the
complicated.
We have like the mom and dad who has like the weird relationship.
We'll talk about that too.
We have the brothers who don't have a good relationship. We have Raybud who's dealing with fertility issues with his wife Lucille, and then we have Junior, the other brother, and his wife who are dealing with financial issues. Then then we have the auntie over there and her and her two sons. Yeah. And her two sons. So it's like it's already rocky. We're not like in a good, healthy space. And then there's a death.
Yeah, it's not super functional. We'll say that.
So like in this moment we see not to mention that there also is a sister in here too. Can't forget about Delightful. But we see how the grief amplifies
the family dynamics.
Everything that's already been happening here.
It turns everything up another level, right? The dysfunction that's happening between all the siblings and the parents and the aunt and all that stuff. When the grief happens, it's intense. It gets more intense, right? Like people are losing. Because people are yelling at each other.
We had separate lives and we all knew that the separate lives were crappy. But now you want to shove us all together, literally right after it happens. Like literally right after it happens, they're like, "Now we're all gonna get together tonight," and it just goes. So it's adding on the family system and the emotion of the grief, and then we see that
we talk about all the time. The family is a living, breathing organism, right? People have to work to keep it in balance, and then when something happens that throws it off balance, and everybody has to shift, stuff kind of explodes a little bit. Things come to a head, almost to like release pressure. And that's kind of what we see happening.
But I think that's a thing that happens in a lot of families in a lot of situations. That
I'm sure y'all can relate.
100%. That when grief pops up, it does not bring new things with it. I mean, in some things, it does. But a lot of times, it just amplifies what was already there.
Right.
So this stuff was not like money or greed or anything like that. This was the things that were already happening. It just amplified it even more.
Which for them, like Raybud, it was like dad wasn't really around. He wasn't really present. For his mom, he was like, Raybud was crotchety and old and grumpy and good riddance, right? And that was just amplified.
She was mean and surly.
Yeah, she was ready to be done with him. The other one, he was always looking for dad's approval and never really got it, and trying to almost like save face and impress everybody with the things he had or didn't have. And when that happened, he kept going. He said, we got to do this for daddy. It has to look like this. We need to spend all of this money, knowing he ain't got no money.
Yeah.
And he can't pay for it.
Yes. Which is of course an issue, because like as the other brother of trying to be silent, not trying to like blast my brother in front of everybody, but you're going to sit in front of everybody at this table and say that we should spend everything on this funeral when you don't have no money.
When you're not the one who's going to be paying for it.
Yes.
Either. You can be like, let's pick the most expensive one. You got it. No.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely not. No,
100%.
No.
So we see all of these things amplifying. We see how the family is struggling to deal with all of this. And that I think that the hard part about this is that, like we said, this is the same day. This happened that morning, and then by that night, it's just like all heck has broke loose in the house.
Exactly.
And for a lot of them, there hasn't even been enough time to actually sit in the fact.
Right. This is
that my husband, that my father, that my
Very good point.
that my brother has died. We're just gonna
Yes.
go into amplifying what we all already struggle with. So
This is a great point as well too, that people, especially when something just happens, especially black folks, especially black women, don't get a chance to sit and digest. They're up and they're doing, right? The first thing that happens, you got to call someone. So you on the phone, you get into the phone lines up, call this person, call this person, call this person, and you're doing and doing and doing. You don't get a chance to like sit with what just happened.
but also let's pick up on the fact that, because I feel like that Aunt Raynell, who was the mother, would have been fine, I think, to sit for a little while. I think that she was almost anticipating the death, but like it would have been a little bit more fine. We have two other women who I would say, Raybud's wife, Lucille, and we say Aunt Marguerite. You don't want to sit down because sitting down forces you to deal with your own stuff. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to overfunction and take care of everything instead of I have to do all these things, because if I sit down, then I got to deal with me. I don't really want to do that. So let me like go into power mode and take care of everybody else, and then say that I have to. Because I mean, who's going to do it if I don't do it? And I have to take care of all these things. No, you don't. But
Who's going to do it? How am I going to show up like this? And like,
but I protect myself by overfunctioning and staying
it
busy.
serves two purposes.
Yeah.
It's not just what's that thing when you like give to other people? It's selfish and it's helpful. I don't know. That's not the right word.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Altruistic. There we go. Okay. So as we move on, we also talk about, there is this thing that I notice happening, and I think also happens when you have a grief too, is like struggling with glorifying people who have passed.
Yeah.
And how that makes it prevents the grief process from going as smoothly as it could go, because it makes things seem stuck, right?
Yeah, because like that's the hard part that we see in this movie too. On that night when they're all together, and then also the next day when the mother is meeting with the pastor to do the eulogy, because I mean, of course, the pastor, Cedric Entertainer, is like, you know, he wasn't really in church, so like, can you help me, like, you know, with the eulogy?
And he didn't really know him either, which is always awkward.
So you want me to glorify this man that I have a hard time glorifying, because like, no, him on earth was not the person I can glorify.
Right. And so we're gonna sit at the eulogy and at the funeral or repast or whatever and only say good things about this person, which that doesn't mean you need to dog out the person who has passed away, but it is hard for our systems to hold those two things of like, oh, we're putting down a person who is perfect, or we're only highlighting these things, when people are complicated. They live very full lives. And also, if a person who has passed away who has done something harmful to you, and the people around you are only saying good things about that person, that makes grief hard.
100%. And I think that's what we see Raybud struggle with a lot.
Absolutely.
Because once again, he was able to distract for however long that this had been going on. He knew that there was an issue there with him and his father, but he was not dealing with it.
Yeah.
I can go to work, I can drink, I can deal with my wife and all these other issues, but I don't have to deal with this.
We're not going to solve it, yeah.
And then now that he's dead, I can't fix the relationship with him.
It's too late.
Yeah, and then now I kind of have to deal with these feelings that are going on with me. People are saying all these positive things that don't quite match up with how these things were in my head. You want me to stand up and actually like match the positive things that they're saying too, and I don't
feel them. They're not genuine.
I don't have words. Which once
I don't maybe even believe them.
Yes. So I'm gonna go back to what I do know how to do. I'm gonna get angry, and I'm gonna drink because that's how I cope. And which of course we all have our ways that we cope, and then it just magnifies in these issues. So
absolutely. And knowing it is okay when somebody passes away to feel a sense of relief, or release, both, right? That like if somebody passes away and you just have like an exhale moment, especially if things are complicated, if the person is sick, it really doesn't even matter the circumstances. It still makes sense to feel relief when somebody else passes away, even if you love them.
Yeah.
Even if they meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
Even if you would rather them be here.
Yeah. But I think that like that's like a really good thing for you to point out, as far as like how we glorify or how we sit with these relationships, because that was something I I personally struggled with when it came to people in my life passing and figuring out how to do that. And I think that that's something I worked on in therapy myself, about like actually acknowledging that people are human and they can be both. I can say that I love this person, and we also had a lot of issues. I can say that this person did this wonderfully, and this person did this really terribly. Like this person showed up in this ways, and this person also hurt me repeatedly.
Exactly.
And it's like being able to hold both and not feeling like that you have to shut down all of those hurt or
I can only think
unresolved
good
feelings.
things about this person now that they're gone, right? I cannot think anything negative about them. And we are full human beings as well. We have memories. We remember what happened and what didn't, and when we got what we needed and when we didn't get what we needed. Yeah. And it's going to show up in the grief process.
Yeah, which is hard because like we acknowledge,
and it's not bad. It's neutral. It's just information.
But also recognizing like what that does to, like you said, to your system. Because if we're talking about this of this being a parent, and if this parent was a parent and was imperfect, which most parents are. Yeah. But if this parent hurt you or wasn't there for you and all these things,
abused you,
you have to think about what grew out of you. So there's a child, an inner child in you that's like, so you're gonna act like that this stuff didn't happen to me? Mm-hmm. You're gonna put me in the corner and be like, oh, be quiet, he was great.
Yeah.
Not him.
There's gonna be some anger there. There's gonna be some resentment there. Mm-hmm. There might be inner turmoil or even an outburst there. Yeah. Because every part is trying to get on the same page.
Yeah. Which I think is it's what we saw kind of sort of happen that night in that first, well, yes, we did see it happen that first night, because in the midst of Ray being overwhelmed and sweating and being upset because he was holding in so much emotion, and then your brother comes in who's broke and doesn't have any money. So I talk about buying all these things,
bad kids,
and then and the kids out there tearing up stuff.
His wife cussing him out.
The wife is being extra as heck, but we'll get to Sharisse in a second. But then and Ray flips out and is and they fight in the middle of the living room. Mm-hmm.
Combustion right there.
And it seems like that with that pop, it also, once again, everyone else is upset, because you have Aunt Marguerite, who has been trying to make everybody holy the entire movie.
Oh my gosh.
But that's her function. That's how she copes.
That is her over-functioning.
And then you have Lucille, who tries to keep everything together. And then you have
she
Sharisse,
tries to show up and serve people and not sit down. That's her thing, which is a very black thing to do.
And then you have Sharisse, who is Junior's wife, who wants to make everything about her. So in this moment, when you guys start fighting in the middle of the floor, it can't be about Sharisse. Aunt Marguerite can't read the Bible to you guys right now, and Lucille can't serve y'all pigs in a blanket. So y'all done messed up everybody's ability to do what they need to do right now.
Aunt Raynell, she don't want to even be there. Yeah. She over it. What did she say? Just, we're done. Yeah. We're not doing any more today. It's over. Yeah. Right? And you can tell in that fight, what does Charlemagne say? He says it's historical, right? They are fighting about stuff that has been building between them over the years. This really probably has very little to do with the fact that their dad passes, because they have never worked on the stuff that they needed to work on as siblings.
Yeah. And so the sibling dynamic is messed up. We see that. And so them identifying that. Then if we look at Raybud and Lucille. So Raybud, of course, had the drinking problem and issues with his dad. And then we have Lucille, who had fertility issues. Mm-hmm. And then them trying to overfunction. And then we see
everybody's triggered. Everybody's triggered.
So Lucille overfunctions, Raybud drinks, and then once again, we all stay in our separate lives, but then now we're going to be in a position to be highlighted in front of everybody else. So now Raybud is on display for everybody to be like, how do you feel about your daddy? And he doesn't want to do that. And then Lucille is on display for everybody to be like, she still ain't got no kids. So it's
but
intensifying.
Let us talk about that too, about how when people pass away and we go to funerals, people make changes during that time. People shift. There's a lot of pressure around that. Even if you're not having a hard time with the person who's passed away, there is a thing that comes straight up right to your face of your mortality, your legacy, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Am I where I want to be in life? All of these things pop up.
That is
I don't have the things that I've wanted, and so everybody kind of struggles a little bit.
But then also, like I said, putting it on display because because now these are people and family members that we don't see on a regular basis. But
for probably a reason. You know, how, you know, we only see them people like twice a year
and then
because
after we talk the
can
funeral,
only
you
handle
realize
Exactly.
why we didn't see each other.
This is why we don't see each other.
But like now that we're all together with all these people, y'all are gonna ask me questions. Y'all are gonna like, you know, want to like
catch up. I have to tell you about my life, and what if I don't like certain parts of my life, and you're asking me about that part of my life.
So now I gotta like figure out how to either fake it till I make it, go to the corner and cope how I've normally been coping.
Or some people don't show up. There's a reason why some people just don't. I don't do funerals. I don't do all of that stuff. Maybe because they can't handle the grief. Maybe because all of that stuff is too much. It's too confronting, and they don't want to deal with all of that.
Oh, 100%. It's 100%. And I think that like that's the hard part too, is because like you said, it's all of that stuff that's big. It's also accepting that everybody grieves differently, but also accepting what that grief looks like. And maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to deal with you over functioning and being all in my face. Maybe I don't want to deal with your wife being over here in the corner screaming and she like girl.
Yeah, maybe I like to withdraw. Like a lot of people withdraw to process their emotions. They don't want to be in groups of people to do that. And funerals and families and repasts, they force us to kind of do that, which is not bad, but everybody is different. Everybody is allowed to grieve differently, and we can see in this family, everybody is grieving very differently.
But the hard part about this is that, like we said, so we see the different levels of coping the best way that we know how, and how that intensified during that grief. So we see, like I said, repeatedly.
Delightful, we didn't mention. Delightful is eating. Everybody's even making jokes about it. That, I'm gonna say, that did not age well. But Delightful's eating. Ray is drinking. The other brother, what is he doing?
He's he's over.
He's trying to be impressive.
Yes,
he's trying to impress everybody.
But he has nothing.
He really is ashamed of the lack of stuff that he's accomplished in life.
Yes, and the same thing actually for his wife, which is Jada Pinkett Sharisse, that there was still that element with her of that. She was unhappy with her life as well. Now we have to be on display, and I'm going to be over exaggerating also because I also just found out, 5 hours earlier that my husband was cheating on me.
Dramatic.
So add that on there too. I want everybody to know, make this about me.
So can we talk about Sharisse and them? So here's the thing, Jada. You did what you did, okay? We love
Jada
you.
was fire in this movie. I don't care what nobody says.
Excellent.
She did amazing in this movie.
She did good with being extra. My issue is, and I think we have talked about this before, is that why is it that people have such large reactions? Because I think we all know that person who might not even be connected to the family, not even close to the person who passed away, but their emotions are so big and it's so dramatic, and it makes people doubt, are they what are they doing? Why are they being extra? Are those feelings really genuine? And what's going on here?
I think that the hard thing is that I'm not even sure if Sharisse's was fully connected to the grief. Hers seems like that hers was an internal feeling of not feeling enough. And then, already, like you said, adding on that internal feeling of not feeling enough, I married a man who makes me feel like I'm also less than enough. She may have been more craving the attention of the family because this is a one time now where I have an audience. Let me be on display. That whole, anybody see me? Anybody see me? Just you're trying to get I want somebody to see me, and then oh, never mind, don't look at me, I wasn't doing anything wrong. It's not about me, but you just definitely made it all about you because you out here screaming and doing all the extra stuff, trying to get attention, and then being throw the rock and then hide your hand. You threw you had a full performance, and then when someone's what are you doing? Oh, this is all about the funeral. It's all about the girl.
So confronting your husband's mistress at the repast is not a good idea, you're saying?
No, we probably should not do that.
Okay.
We probably should not.
And not jumping in the casket and telling them to take you is probably not a good, it's not really a healthy way to deal with the emotions.
Continuing to bring up the other family member that you should have married because he actually has money, that probably is not the best thing as well too. Letting everybody know that I could have been married to the cousin. They had some money, but I stayed with this fool over here, and now look at me.
Yeah. I mean, lots of just not great things about that dynamic, but it was for a purpose. It was for the movie, whatever.
Yes.
So, Sharisse.
But then once again, I think that this was also their marriage was brought to a head in this moment. We don't know what could have happened between Sharisse and Junior if this situation had not happened. So they kind of like had this moment to like push them through.
That seems on brand for her. I'm just gonna be
Probably.
honest about that. But also, I mean, I think me and you have talked about before that, like, I think some people experience emotion so deeply that is how they come out, right? Like, sometimes if you grow up in a space where your emotions were not seen or heard very easily, like you had to work really hard to get your caregivers to see you.
Okay, so I think it was definitely like
it's not
like
just sad.
a cry for help or
depressed, right? I am not just happy. I am so happy. I'm not just angry. I am enraged because you have to spend so much time getting people to see you.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's happening for Miss Sharisse. So
that's why I said too, that still uncomfortable feeling of actually being seen. So I want everybody to see me. I'm gonna hop out here in the middle of the floor, and then when you guys stare at me, I'm just like, I'm gonna lay down now.
I feel like we all have that family member too.
Oh,
so
I definitely,
you don't have to comment that. Definitely don't comment that.
Blink twice if you're sitting next to him, but I'm just saying.
I got that family member that's gonna act a fool at the funeral.
Yeah.
So what else we got? What else do we need to talk about?
So I think one of the things that that you had mentioned earlier that I wanted to highlight too was that that the father, Uncle Bud, was considered the patriarch of the family, but he really was not the patriarch of the family. So even though he was alive, Raybud had kind of been like identified as the patriarch of the family, and it was a lot of pressure. It seemed to be on him.
The junior? Wait, which one are you talking about?
Raybud, which
Uncle Bud or Raybud?
Raybud.
Okay.
I feel like the Uncle Bud was the patriarch by title, but by position or by like defined duties. That it was
actual functioning.
That it was like Raybud.
He was the oldest brother.
He was the one who was supposed to be over taking care of everything. And then once again, when you have someone who is still dealing with their own trauma and everything else, you putting this amount of pressure on them and then amplifying it during the grief process of like, you handle all this, and he's just like, what?
And also, there was probably some resentment around it. Like, why do I have to show up and be the parent when I never got a parent?
Yes.
Right? And then now in death, I still have to show up and be the parent. I would feel some resentment around that.
Yeah.
I would not feel super excited or happy to jump up and like be in that role continually.
Yeah, because now I gotta take care of my mother, who's my mother. I have to parent my brother, who was actually my brother. Like, and I'm also grieving my father, but no, like let me also be the patriarch of this family and take care of everything as well too, which is difficult.
And Raybud, I think, also has a breakthrough through all of this, right? Partly because of his mom's feedback of just like, your dad's been gone for a long time. He did not die.
And what did she say?
When he died.
She said, let it be broke for a while.
Well, yes, that's what he was saying. He said that to Lucy. I was going to say Charlene, but yes,
call that woman Charlene.
She looked like a Charlene. Go ahead, Vivica. But just like, let it be. And also, we have to realize this is like we have said before, things have been shifting for a long time, right? Things maybe have come to a head in a final way, but they have been shifting a long time. Your dad has been grumpy and stuck in his ways and not willing to do anything for the family or bend or be flexible.
Yeah.
And we've had to deal with that for a long time. Let's let it go.
And the hard part about this is that in these moments, well, like throughout the movie, we don't see them let go easily because, like we said, that's weird, that's uncomfortable. So we're just gonna run, or we're just gonna not deal with this. We also see that with Aunt Marguerite, who was Loretta Devine, who absolutely love her in this movie, and her son.
Sorry, I love her. Oh, like that's her favorite thing to do. She just sigh.
Her son, Royce, who's Darius McCurry, he will always be Eddie Winslow to me. But so like we see the movie start off with her reading her letter, like literally cursing her brother, like, you're going to hell. It's gonna be hot where you're going. Like,
hey, how you doing? I just want you to know, because you are so raggedy, you going to hell, and I can't wait to see it.
Yes.
And like all of these things that us Christians do that are bad.
But the hard part about this is that we not only see that's Aunt Marguerite's role. Her role is to play this role of, I want everyone to go to heaven, which is great, but it's more of like, I'm going to shame you, I'm going to criticize you.
I'm going to force you into it if you're not doing it the way that I want you to do it.
Yes.
Because who's to say that those people didn't have their own relationship with God and were doing the whole
100%.
thing, but because their lives did not look the way that she thought they should look.
So do it the way that I say for you to do it, in the way that I want it to look, and this is my role of doing these things.
Yeah.
And then we also see that she also has her own struggles because, like, she has 2 sons, the oldest one who's in jail, and then we have the youngest one.
He ain't coming back.
Sorry. Okay. And then we have the youngest one who is Royce, who I'm still dying. She calls him on the phone and it's like beating the phone with a spoon. Is there a husband in the house? like just...
Yeah, go on and tell him about your favorite scene.
Oh, my favorite scene, y'all. So like, she calls Royce to come pick her up, to take her to their house to go see Uncle Bud and Aunt Raynell and the whole thing. So Royce, who of course is a young man who spends a lot of time smoking and drinking and hanging around with loose women, as she calls it, and like they're driving to wherever the house, I'm not sure how far it is, but they're driving like several miles to the other house, and they get into a fight in the middle of the car. If you guys have not seen this movie, this is hilarious.
Yeah, the best scene too as well.
They get into a fight in the car. They're going back and forth on the radio station. Royce wants to listen to hip hop. Mama wants to listen to gospel. And
in his car, no less.
Yes. So they're going back and forth with the little like old school knob, and then she turns the knob her way, and the knob pops off. And she said Jesus. She said Jesus won. Would you say something like that? And then he said, well, then Satan has the keys, and it cut the car off. And then they're sitting outside waiting on like Ray to come and like get them some gas or like figure the whole situation out. And she wants to have a serious talk with Royce about his life and like what he's doing. And we see like one section of this too where she tells him life is not a good time. And which to me is like, that
I'm straight up not having a good time here.
That you're pushing all of this and you're literally saying that life is not a good time, which is not quite sure what.
Why would I want to go in that direction?
Yes.
Even you are not having a good time. You telling me to be where you are.
Yes. And he says that. He says you are living proof of that. So like we see this dynamic, and then she was like, well, I want to know that you have a plan. What is your plan? And then Royce tells her, I want to slow down one day. I want to get me a nice, good Christian girl, have me some kids, give you some grandkids, so I can get on welfare. And the fight starts right back up. And so like
she started beating him. No, she like loses it.
Yeah. So we see this dynamic for them too of how they struggle with how she wants him to be, him not feeling good enough, and like this like constant pressure of them too within the family, which luckily in the end comes together a little bit better when she sees that he at least, he reads a Bible scripture. It makes it feel like he actually knows something, and she breathes a little bit like, maybe my child, because it does seem like that she is operating out of fear, that she does not want the same thing to happen to him that happened to her oldest child. But in doing so, she just shames him and makes him feel terrible, which is also not producing
exactly
the results of what it is that she actually wants to see.
Which, isn't that a whole word? Parenting out of fear, really doing anything out of fear, it's not going to be productive.
Yeah.
It's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
But there's so much to this movie. We could talk about it all day. We're moving on to the important part. Wait, you got something else before we go to the questions that need answers?
Yes. So one more thing that I think that serious talk for a lot of us. This happens in a lot of our families. I have experienced this. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys have experienced this. This is a really, really important. This is like my 2-minute infomercial thing. Like, y'all plan for your funeral. Get your stuff in order. I don't care how old you are.
Help the old folks in your life also plan for theirs, even if they don't want it and are upset about it.
Yes, because I get it. It's uncomfortable conversations. I understand, but if some of this stuff would have been planned for in advance, there's certain things that we would not have to sit around and had a conversation about.
Drama and chaos and mental and emotional difficulties that you would not have to go through if you had a plan for what this would look like. Even just a plan. You don't have to have everything paid for and everything zipped up tight, but just a plan, something written down so that people can't be confused.
That's the hard part, because I've heard a lot of people say, well, I ain't going to be here. Ugh. Okay. But
everybody else is, and we got to deal with the mess that you made of your life.
Yes. So help people out.
Please.
Help the people out. I don't even care if it says put me in a box and bury me in the backyard.
Write it down on a scrap of paper. Get somebody to say that you were in healthy mind and sound mind, and that be enough. It does not have to be anything and everything that y'all think it does.
Yeah. So, let's figure it out.
PSA, handle your stuff.
Just saying. Just saying, people. All right, so listen. Questions questions that need answers. Like we had said,
need answers.
Questions that said too. If you guys honestly and truthfully had questions that need answers for this movie, let us know, because we might have missed some stuff. And
I don't think we did, but anyway.
What's your first question that needs answers? That was a list. That's
Anthony
why
Anderson
both of us got our
closed his gap. I did not realize that he closed his gap at some point. I just feel like that was the way he always looked. But I guess the blackness, he had closed his gap by that time.
Yeah, I think that's crazy that people, Anthony Anderson kind of like switched a little bit, but between the closing of the gap and between like the weight loss, but think about him in like Life and like Barbershop and like I Almost Died. Like he looked completely different back in the day, and then some
changes.
So watching him in movies past tense now, and you're like, dang, that is how you used to look.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Where were they?
We don't.
Y'all, we do not know. I tried Googling. I was looking. It says Lula, but there's no city. They're somewhere in the country. It's weird. Weird. Like you know how country it is. It wasn't even just the houses that were spread out and in the country. This man said you took your wife to vacation to Swamp World. Swamp World.
I'm gonna say they're in Florida. I'm gonna say they are in deep Florida. That's where they are.
See, I was thinking like Georgia or like Mississippi or something like that.
They could be on the Florida-Georgia line. It's swampy over there. Okay. They're somewhere in the South. I can tell you that. They real country. Tamala Mann is in this movie.
You know that she used to do all them singing.
I had no idea. This is great. Question: why do us as black folks, take pictures of the deceased? Why do we do that?
I've never known that, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Shout out to my family. Like, don't get mad at me, but I definitely have seen either my mama or my grandma's Bibles that have like that stack of like everybody's dead pictures in them. I'm just like,
what's that about? Why we do that?
Why do we got these?
I don't need to really remember them like that. We don't have to do that.
Yes, I don't know.
I mean, maybe unless they looked really good, but again, what we didn't talk about, the ballet flats.
Oh,
I think that's the question. But
so yeah, when he died of the heart attack or whatever it was, he pointed his feet down, so they couldn't get shoes on him. So he had to wear ballet shoes. It was a mess.
Y'all remember that iconic scene? Maybe we'll make that the thumbnail because it's so great.
That man had dance shoes on.
Toni Braxton was in this movie.
Yes, y'all, and
she always
fine.
How she has looked, okay? But I forgot she had a blonde face. I don't know how I forgot that.
Fine. She was fine in this movie. Like
I love it.
Yeah, Toni's still fine, but she was definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Why is it that as black people we have to have rhyming names when we have twins? Like there was a set of twins there. Their names were Latanya and Lasagna. What's that about?
Next question. Ain't got it. I ain't gonna do it.
What else?
The accents, like they had some heavy.
It's
what's also crazy is that they all did not have the heavy accent. They didn't. Now Sharisse and Lucille's accents were super heavy. They had like the super country accent. Raybud did not have a country accent like that.
My only notes were they should have let Jada do something else. That accent was not it. It was not it.
It cracked me up. I loved it.
She is not. That's not where she's from. We could have done better. Does Delightful talk?
Yeah.
Does she say words?
So we mentioned the fact that there's a sister, Delightful, the one who just like eats throughout the entire movie, and we don't think that she talked throughout the whole movie. If you guys ever heard Delightful talk, let us know.
Did she say words? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know what year it was supposed to be there, but honey, the place where they had their funeral or the repast, they had a neon pink bathroom. They had pictures.
Yeah, don't play. When I'm old bathrooms, it was either baby pink, like that.
Like what, lime green, like green?
No, that yellow, green. Like that, like a lemon, like yellow color, and or the pink, and like the border that be up across the top, and yes, baby.
I don't know. And they had pictures of the funeral home. That's where it was. They had pictures of black cherubs all on the wall. I don't know if you see it. Little naked black cherubs. Okay, I see us. I see us on our people.
Raybud's boss, who was also one who was like constantly trying to like push Raybud to deal with his grief. Like, how you feeling?
You talking about the creepy old man?
Yeah, his boss. But then the boss came to the funeral with a six-pack of beer. So you gonna come to my daddy's funeral with the beer. But it's cool.
And then being inappropriate with all the cousins and all the women.
Yeah.
Cool.
The nerve pills.
Yes, the nerve pills. Okay, so I don't remember who said it, but one of the old folks was like, "Ooh, this is why I need my nerve pills."
No, it was Sharisse. When Sharisse was being extra, she asked Lucille for some nerve pills.
Mm-hmm. Which we're just curious. First of all, that tells us that Black people have had anxiety for a long time.
But we didn't say it like that. We just say, "Ooh, my nerves is bad," and we also had the nerve pills to deal with the bad nerves.
Pills. But we wanted to know, what do we think the nerve pills were back in the day? Like, what was folks taking?
I think it was a Tylenol.
Tylenol wouldn't do nothing for nobody.
I think it was a Tylenol.
What was it going to do?
Yeah, it was a headache Tylenol. Ibuprofen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's hair was really, really good in that movie.
I'm not going to be shady, but I'm just saying.
What's the shade?
I was just understanding, if we could do that then, what is going on with Tyler Perry now? Like, what's happening? The hair. Anyway, we're moving on. Why did Jada sing the song at the end?
I think that we have already established how extra
Toni Braxton sitting right next to her.
That as well.
Who could have rocked the socks off.
But we did establish that she was trying to be extra. So I'm pretty sure that at some point, like, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm eating hair, but I'm pretty sure at some point when, like, making the eulogy, she was like, I'll sing. It's something. If you cared about me, you put me in there to sing. Like, there's probably something in there to edge her into singing. So therefore she did.
Okay. Could the brother have, in prison, could have been furloughed to go to the funeral? Why didn't they just let him go to the funeral? It's
Maybe,
not that
but
big.
I mean, everybody's not furloughed. What you laughing at?
Because I broke down. We gonna act like Bud was going to heaven. Why would I say that? I don't even remember saying that. But we gonna act like Bud was going to heaven. He was a surly old man. Maybe he was. I don't know. That's not my business. But it's hard to fake it through one of those.
But so also talk about the names, the Latanya and Lasagna. So Bud, like we had said, Raybud and Lucille, like, were having, like, the problems getting pregnant. And she announces at the funeral. Well, she says to the deceased at the funeral.
Yes, they were talking to him. Yeah.
Yes, she says that we're gonna have a baby and we're gonna name it. Was it
Badisha?
Badisha
Joy. So we still need a Bud, but Black people, we love to combine a name. We love to take one name as inspiration and flip it into another name. Badisha Joy. Which, no shade, hey, if your name is Badisha out there, comment. Let us know. I've never met a Badisha.
Did it come from your daddy being named Bud? I just want to know.
Whoo!
So, y'all, listen. The funny part that cracked me up, so at the beginning of the movie, when they were reading the letter, and she's talking about, like, all the things going on with her, and she says that the little boy or the man or whatever mowed her yard. She said he mowed my front yard, my side yard, my backyard, and the 3 acres behind the house. And he got paid $3, which was a $1 bonus because it was his birthday. Let's run it back. The front yard, the side yard, the backyard, and the 3 acres in the back. And he got paid $3. I have a moment of silence for that child.
It was the 90s, right? It was the 2000s.
I don't give a darn when that was.
I don't know when it was. Last question is, during the prayer, after Sharisse confronted her husband's mistress, his extramarital affair.
And it really wasn't a confront. It was just the fact that she was, like, said out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, she had a moment. She was unhinged for just a second. Aunt Marguerite said a prayer over the food, but she did not have to mention Miss Bernice Talbert.
I think that this was also, like, the element of,
and call her a hoe in the prayer.
I think this was also, like, the element of, like, Sharisse, you want attention, I'm gonna give you attention. You want everybody to know your business.
I think they all feel the way they feel against Bernice.
Oh, 100%.
She was out here taking folks' men.
100%. But also, like, Sharisse, you want attention, I'm gonna go ahead and give you attention. You don't keep crying about it. I'm gonna let you know to, like, be quiet. I hear you. So now everybody knows. Yeah, so
There was
once
a
again,
lot going on.
yes, it was hilarious. It was good. It was so layered. Like, did you guys see your family in this movie, or see things that you have dealt with as far as family dynamics, as far as funerals and how funerals bring up grief, how we deal with grief, how we cope,
How they change
all of
stuff
those
inside
things.
of us.
Yes,
Yeah.
all of those things, and also like what was hilarious in there. And do you have questions that need answers that we did not list, or do you have answers to the questions that we said need answers?
let us know.
Like, we need
'Cause
answers to the questions.
We be trying to figure it out.
Yes. So, as always, like I said earlier, or like you said earlier, one of us said it.
Somebody
Like,
said something.
comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Check us out.
For sure. And stay mentally dope, y'all.
Always.
Bye.